Who's going for coffee? You going for coffee? So no one's going for coffee. Who's going for coffee?
All right, welcome back, everybody. Good morning to Who's Going for Coffee. Today we got John Maxwell with us, brother. How you doing?
Good morning. Good.
Glad that you came down.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, this whole show is about our members, and not just in this trade, but a lot of other trades, focusing on and featuring members, hearing their stories, their path to get here, and what they got going on now. And I know you got a couple interesting stories to tell us, but let's go back to. I always like to start these shows with our members with how they entered the trades. What that decision making process. A lot of us fall into it, right? Many of us don't come out of high school. Some do, saying, "Hey, man, I want to work in a trade." So kind of talk about your path. What was the the chain of events that got you here?
So when I was younger, I worked in a restaurant, and just a job, just to make money, buy a car, work on a car, doing stuff like that. And then went to college, which really wasn't my, field that I wanted to be in college. I wanted to work. And I wanted to put an application in for a plumber's assistant. And I had to take a drug test. And I never made it to the drug testing place. I got into a major car accident with a broken femur and was airlifted to Stony Brook Hospital. And I had surgery that day. I have a rod and 2 screws in my leg.
To this day,
It's still there. They didn't take it out.
So what happens when you go on an airport? Like, what's the...
Nothing. I guess it must be like titanium, and it doesn't pick it up. I have no idea.
So you don't have to carry nothing around you.
I never got an ID card saying that I needed that, or anything like that. So
that's one of those myths.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, thank God I never had any problem because I never got a card.
Yeah.
So that was...
so why the plumbers? Why a plumber's assistant? Who steered you towards them?
The neighbor across the street, he was a plumber, and I was looking for a job. I didn't know what to do with my life. I was in college for aeronautics, aka liberal arts, which is 13th grade, and I didn't know what to do. I honestly didn't have anything like lined up, like, oh, I want to do this. So worked in a restaurant. I think at the time I may have been working in UPS because part-time, they give you full benefits. So I was working in there at night doing like loading and unloading and stuff like that. And after that, I wanted to have like, a real job, just like a regular like 7 to 3:30 type of thing, because I was an auto mechanic in the daytime. And then after that, I would go to UPS at night for benefits. So I was doing 2 jobs a day, and that was kind of
Where was the UPS plant?
It was in Melville.
Melville, right.
Yeah, right off of Smith Street.
Mm-hmm.
So I got into that car accident, physical therapy, and then after I got out of like 6 months, where they gave me the green light to go back to work, I was still at UPS at the time, and my mom said, "Hey, your uncle owns an elevator company. Why don't you ask him to see if you can get a job there?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I called him up, and he was like, "Oh, you want to work on elevators?" I said, "Yeah, I'll give it a try. I mean, auto mechanic, elevators, it's close, whatever."
It kind of is.
Same difference.
You think about it. It really, people that come here with that automotive experience, they do real well.
Yeah.
They both got motors, they got electrical system, they got brakes.
Troubleshooting. Most of the guys that, I deal with, that I know, if they're an auto mechanic, they are probably the better of the crew most of the time.
Yeah.
99% of the time. So called him up, and he said, "Yeah, we can, get you in, bing, bang, boom, talk to that person, this person. And the next thing you know, you got a union card." And I worked for an elevator company for, I think it was 13 years. So can I name the company?
Sure you can.
So Mako Elevator.
Okay.
So, and the first building I worked in was 270 Park.
Was it really?
Yes.
Wow.
So isn't it wild that now...
So you worked in there as a service guy, or were they doing mods in there?
It was a mod. It was a 32 car conversion. Had I forget how many passenger cars. Had a low-rise freight, mid-rise freight, high-rise freight, 4 escalators, 2 executive cars. So I was working with a mechanic that came from Kone, and he was my mechanic, and we worked on the executive cars, and we started there, and worked there for, I think that was like a 2-year project. But it's wild though that, you know, you do a project like that and then they take the building down.
Well, it's
and
amazing
now they're
because
building it back
you're
up.
in this gigantic building doing a mod, and then a bunch of years later, it turns into the biggest construction site in the city, and probably at a time in the entire country. Like, what's going on here?
It's not like it's iconic, but you hear 270 Park and like, you know, now it's like, oh yeah, 270. You know, it's a pretty big project right now.
Yeah.
So
listen, when somebody says, hey, why don't you come work in the elevator business, do you have any kind of idea like what that was all about? Like most people, when we, you know, we go out in these outreach events, and, you know, they know the trades, the most common ones, right? You know, the plumbers and the electricians, and they know all the iron workers. You know, those are the ones that you see on TV. Those are the ones that are most common. Those are the ones, right? And there's a lot of trades out there, us being one of them, but there's a lot of trades out there that people don't even know exist, these great industries. So did you have an idea of
I had
what
no
it was all
idea.
about?
Like, you know, it's something that even to this day, people like, they just see it and it's like a behind the scenes thing. Right. They see guys go inside a shaft door and they don't come out until the end of the day. Yep. And then, you know, an elevator just goes up and down and they're in it and it's brand new, you know? So, and then, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, you're a blue collar worker, you know, but, you know,
looking down on you a little bit.
Yeah. And you know, we do. So you can't make fun of them blue collar workers.
No, you can't.
You know,
tell you what though, the blue collar workers is turning into a, you know, trying to think of the word, but a commodity now, right? You know, you think back when the city was booming, when the country was booming, you had a ton of blue collar workers, and that was the backbone of the country, right? And then you get into this period of time where, you know, organized labor is taking a hit, and union density's taking a hit, and, you know, fizzles and it dwindles a little bit, and then people start, you know, them thumbing their nose to blue collar workers, like, you know, those are the dummies that went to vocational school and took shop class, and you look at it now, it's like, yeah, no, they weren't the dummies, man. They were the smart guys.
Yeah, I mean, like, you got if you watch like home improvement stuff, you got Mike Holmes on Homes.
Yep,
I mean, that guy's a big advocate for the trades.
Yep.
I mean, he wants to see more people and more kids get into trades. He's got his daughter working and, you know, with him. She's in the trades, and he wants, you know, men and women, just like my son. He's gonna 11th and senior year take welding and BOCES, so he's gonna do that. And my daughter, she wants to get into the trades herself, whether it's gonna be welding or elevators. So they're really wanting to do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of it has been, it is, and always will be a male-dominated industry, right? That's not going to change.
Yeah, but there's a lot more females now.
However, there are, but there is a lot of room for females, right? Yeah. And sometimes it might even be a little easier for a female to crack this industry, because most of the trades, I would say all of them, but maybe not all of them, I know we fall short of, you know, that magic number that the DOL is looking for. Yeah, you know, when they come in, they do their audits, how many females they have. Yeah. And that number is always lower, right? So for the you know, the right female coming in that wants to do this kind of work, it could be an easier path in for them, because we're starving for the female. So, you know, to have, you know, a young lady come out of high school that has a welding certification, you know, maybe puts a couple other certs in her back pocket, you know, walks into these recruitments, and she's a rock star.
Though, like the way the union goes, whether you're male or female, the pay scale is the pay scale.
It's
so
the same.
It's the same across the board. So it's not like you can't differentiate, you know, if a girl's doing it and a guy's doing it. So they're going to make the money that the men are making, which is good.
It's awesome.
And, you know, that's fine by me.
We have a couple of good young ladies that are in the industry now that are killing it. We have 2 that are instructors over in Jersey that are doing a great job. There's definitely a place for them, you know, and there's some, you know, spots in this industry where they may even do a little better, than the guy sometimes, dealing with the customers sometimes,
Yeah.
they might, have
They have a
way
little
of
bit more.
speaking that, us,
They're a little more tactful.
maybe a little more tactful than
Yeah.
the old grumpy, construction guy or whatever. But
Sure.
listen, they do well here, and it's, the right female coming in that this is, what they want to do. I mean, your daughter coming here or any trade, iron workers or sheet metal workers, whatever, with a welding cert,
Yeah.
man, they'll be
All over
be
it.
bugging out to bring her in. So it's great. That's awesome. We have a we just announced the other day, or not announced, but the JC decided we're gonna have recruitment in December. We haven't had one. It's going on 4 years. So towards the end of December, we'll be opening up our application for recruitment. So, it's a great time to, even if they're on the young side and say, I still want to accomplish a couple things, or I still want to, maybe I do want to go to school, maybe it's 2 years or whatever. It's still a good learning process to participate in recruitments for a bunch of trades and see how the process works. So maybe down the road,
Yeah.
when it is time, when it's game on, they got the experience on how to navigate these recruitments. Because we see a lot of good young, strong candidates coming in there. They're nervous, they're not prepared.
Yeah.
But December we'll be
That's good.
opening up applications. Real competitive, right? As they all are, and they should be. And that tells you something. It tells you something about the job.
Yeah.
When those applications are competitive, and you got some trades still do it where they walk up and the lines around the door. With us, 1,500 apps in 47 seconds last time. It tells you something about the job.
Yeah, I remember for I think when I was in Local 3, they used to have guys would camp out the night before, and like you had to hold your line.
Yep.
So that way, if you got there early, you were going to be first in. If you were late, you're late. So, I mean, that was a pretty big thing for helpers back in the day, that they would have to do that.
Yeah. It was almost like a badge of honor. Like, there's still some trades that do that. I know, disparage them for saying, hey, get with the times. It's not, that's, sometimes I say to myself, man, maybe we should do it that way, and, let the
Survival of the fittest.
survival of the fittest, those who can, hang in there. But it just goes to show you how valuable these jobs are. It doesn't matter what trade it is, whether it's the highest paying trade, the lowest, they're all great. They all, provide, great things, the benefits and all that stuff. So,
Yeah, I don't know what I would be doing if I didn't.
what do you think you'd be doing?
I'm probably a plumber.
Well, listen, they're a great trade too, man. That's going from, a great trade to a great trade.
Yeah, if I didn't get into that accident, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess plumber would have been.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess things work out for a reason.
They always work out for a reason. Right? So you're working over with Local 3,
Mm-hmm.
and you make that decision to come over to Local 1. It had to be a tough choice, right? Was it a tough choice for you?
Well, at the time, because I had so many years in Local 3 to switch over. I mean, if my company at the time was a split shop, so it was a 3-in-1, and Local 1, there was maybe a few guys in that union in the company, and nothing was ever said like, oh, do you want to switch to Local 1, or didn't even know what that meant at the time, with unions, because it was still brand new for me with, getting in the industry. And then, 20 years later, when you're almost at the point of where you're keeping your benefits and stuff like that, you don't have that age, but, you can keep benefits. And then coming over to Local 1, it was like, do I stay? Do I go?
Yeah.
And then, sometimes you just got to take shots and then roll with it.
Sure.
You make the decision, you got to deal with it at that time, and you're going to stick it out. You can always roll back, but that's what I did.
So listen, you were there for a good chunk of time, and you were probably doing well over there.
Yeah.
Right. Those guys do well too. So it was just, a little leap of faith, and you hope you make the right choice, right?
Yeah. I mean, Local 3 was great at the time. Never had anything bad go wrong in the union, and it was a good union. And Local 1 has, a couple more opportunities, to do. Like right now, NEIEP instructor for me. So that's another opportunity. Benefits, they can be like the same. Annuities are higher. And then like credits, Local 3, I did enormous amount of overtime in Local 3. I mean, right now, if I sat here and I had the local one with the overtime, I'd probably have 45 years credits.
Yeah.
But I don't. So it just goes to show you that, once you cap out at 1,700 in local 3, that's it. You did your year. If you did 3,700, it doesn't matter. You got one.
Right. Yeah, that is a great thing with hours. You just mentioned, being a NEIEP instructor. So I know you've been teaching for them for a couple of years. So talk about that a little bit. Like who reached out? We reached out to you. Did you reach out to us?
Yeah. So I was on a job site and I had a helper telling me that they were opening up a school in Melville.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's by my house. That's not far. And he's like, oh, you should do it. You'd be a good teacher. And I didn't consider myself like a teacher, with books and being in a class. When you're out in the field and you're showing guys how to do something, it's like the mechanical point.
Right.
Like you show them like, oh, this is how you take this and do that. And it's a little bit easier. So did I struggle in the beginning on how to do it? Yeah, I would say I did. But now it's
Well, you
better.
probably didn't struggle as much as you think you did. We're all, most of us are all
I think I did.
overly critical of ourselves more than, you get students in the chair. They don't know. So, sometimes they don't know that you're struggling, but
yeah.
listen, everybody does.
I had to go back to school, teaching the kids. So
Right.
that stuff wasn't fresh in my mind
Sure.
at the time. So I basically was the night before, I would like read the curriculum and have to go over it, like especially like in 600 for the formulas and stuff like
Right.
that. And that way, I didn't want to look like an idiot, like trying to teach these kids. And if they knew a little bit more than me, I was going to be like, who's the teacher now, the student or you?
Well, you always got that one kid in the class that's real sharp and,
Sure.
he's like, hey, bro,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah. You got that right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So,
good.
Yeah. So, but now it's kind of like you just go there and,
Yeah.
it's a pretty chill environment. The guys come in and, we just want to make them, get everything done and,
Sure.
and get good grades and pass and be mechanics.
Yeah, it's probably, 600 or 700, probably the most important,
Yeah.
2 semesters, leading it down mechanics exam, the way that test has changed, they put a lot of circuit tracing into the test, a bunch of questions, they turn you into maintenance man, make you troubleshoot a little bit. So it's a real good, we can't do it for everybody, but to end on those 2 semesters and lead right
Back to
into
back,
taking
yeah.
the test back to back is
Yeah.
is a benefit.
Yeah.
We
Back
try-
to back is definitely a benefit.
we try and do that, as often as we can. But yeah, Melville's a great addition. We just ran out of space here, man. We were busting out, guys hanging out windows trying to, with classrooms and
Mhm.
NEIEP was able to allow us to, find some space out there, and it was
Yeah. It's central spot. It's
took a
pretty
long
good.
time, but we wanted ground floor. We wanted, close to either the expressway or the railroad. We wanted close to the front door. We wanted, and man, that place checked off a lot of boxes. Real
Yeah.
great people out there, and it's working out.
Yeah. Sure is.
It's working out, and you guys are doing a good job out there. And the apprentices are too. Like, we read them the riot act every semester. Like, hey guys, treat this like your living room,
Yeah.
right? Because they'll throw us out of here in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Exactly.
I
I remember setting up with Phil when we first got in there, and he was like, "Oh, they can't come in here with their boots on,
Yeah.
and like everything's got to be clean. Don't
Yeah.
touch the walls." So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's good.
It is. It's good stuff. I wish more guys could get out there. There's plenty of guys on the island, but because of where they're working, it's just not practical.
Yeah,
for
I
them
think
to be able to
on
get
Monday
there.
night we had a couple guys that were scattered a little bit, Massapequa, Deer Park, West Bab. So they were like dispersed
Yeah.
everywhere. Wasn't like they were on the Queens border, or else they'd be here.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good.
So how about family life? What do you got?
Family life, married, 2 kids. I got a 16-year-old. She's going to be 17. A 13-year-old. It's going to be 14. And right now, my wife is actually traveling up to Maine to get my son because that's where he was for the weekend.
Nice.
And kids.
Listen, they get into that age, especially that young lady of yours, probably, give you a little run for your money. Like you just, as a dad, I get it.
I don't have to worry about her.
Well, that's
not,
a good thing.
Not at all. She's the tough one.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she can hold her own, and I'd be afraid of the boys with her.
Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, I'm on the island, and everything's good. Hobbies like anybody else, in the trades. You make a couple of dollars. You like to do a couple of things, and you know,
And hunting's your thing.
yeah.
Yeah. So where do you go? Do you go upstate?
I have a piece of property in Pennsylvania.
Oh, do you? Where is it?
It's right outside of Hancock, New York.
Okay.
Yeah, I bought that I think like 10 years ago. Built a cabin on it, and that's where I like to enjoy weekends. Kids go up there. We're looking to get some dirt bikes for them so they can go trail riding this year.
How much property you have up there?
It's 12 acres, I think.
Nice.
12 acres.
So do you hunt on your property or do you go
Yeah.
outside your property?
I hunt on my property, and then I hunt on the island out east. So that's all from like October to January 31st.
Right.
That's my vacation time and my relaxing time, because you just get to sit down and relax.
Just sit in quiet time.
Yeah,
It's you and John in the woods.
that's it. But I build hot rods, so that's my hobby. I've always been a car guy, and that's my getaway.
So what do? Do you buy old, kind of,
Yeah,
restore
I'm a
them? And
50s and 60s type of.
what's like, all right. So I like those old muscle cars. My brother too. So what's your muscle car choice? If you could just say, you know what, if I could only have one muscle car, right? For some, it's performance. For some, it's looks. For me, it's looks. For my brother, it's performance. What's that one muscle car you're like, it's the only one I'm going to have for the rest of my life? What's it going to be?
Well,
I'll tell you mine in a second.
Well, the one that I'm building and the ones that I've had that I let go that I may have wanted back are two different things. But I mean, everybody likes the 69 Camaro. That's just like,
Classic.
that. And, everybody likes a Barracuda,
Yeah.
Mopars.
Yep.
But right now I have a 55 Chevy that I'm working on.
Nice.
And that one's coming along.
Nice.
That's taking a little bit of time right now. But that's it. You have two-lane blacktop American Graffiti. It's iconic.
Oh, yeah.
So
People take notice when they see that car driving down the street. They don't see it all that often. It's like, well,
yeah.
For me, the 67 GTO
Okay.
is just, I think it's the most beautiful car ever built. Like that thing is just, everything stops when that car drives down. I had a Le Mans. I didn't have the GTO,
Yeah.
before I could appreciate what I had. So I just beat it up. But that, and then my father was a Mustang guy. So he had, the 66 and the 69, and
Yeah.
my brother's got a 60. I think he's got a 66, might be a 65. But for me, it's that 66, 67 GTO, that look before it changed a little bit,
Yeah.
and then those Mustangs.
Yeah. I mean, graduating high school in the 90s, Fox body Mustangs were a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
I had a bunch of them, and after that I had a 71 Mach 1, and then I restored a 67 Camaro, 100% done, and I sold that one to get my property in Pennsylvania. And after that, then I had a 49 Ford, 71 Buick Skylark, and now I have this 55. It never ends.
It doesn't end. That's a hobby
It
that don't
never
die.
ends.
You like car show guy? You like going to shows or?
I went to one on Sunday. Another guy from an elevator company called me up to go. It's cool, but then you got guys that they build a car and you want to ask them questions about it, and
Where was it? Because they have one at the Smith Haven Mall.
yeah, that's where it was.
That's where it was?
Yeah,
Yeah, I drove past there in the morning and I'm like, wow, look at that.
yeah. We got there a little late, but we still made it there.
There were a ton of cars out there.
Oh, the whole back of parking lot was full.
Yeah.
It was full.
Yeah. So I had to take my son. He's got a Bronco. We take him to the Ford dealer for, I don't know, he was doing inspection or something.
Hmm.
And I'm passing. I'm like, oh, wow, look at that. I'd love to stop in there. And then, those next 10 minutes of driving to get to the dealer.
Yeah.
You've seen all these cars coming the other way, all these.
We're going up Jericho.
Yep.
Yeah.
Going up Jericho. So that's cool stuff. I like going to the shows. My brother will grab me sometimes. Years ago, we haven't gone lately, but he's a real hot rod guy. He likes to build from scratch. His last crown jewel was a 64 Nova that he had. And when I say he took that thing apart, if two pieces came apart, they came apart, right? That car was sitting on a shelf. And so and then, put that whole thing back together and just to take your time and do it right. It was, the car was magnificent.
Yeah. This one is, this one's got a lot of work into it. The whole body work is done on it. Just got a brand new motor sitting in it.
So when you're done, what will you do with it? You keep it, or
No, I'm gonna keep it.
You're gonna keep it?
Yeah, I call it a street car. It's just for the street.
There you go.
Yeah. Friday night special.
There you go. Nice. It's a great hobby, but like I said, guys that work on cars do real well here. You know,
it's the thing with the hands.
Yeah.
You know, it's the hand-eye coordination and knowing, like, you know,
Yeah.
looking at something, knowing what it looks like, the grabbing the wrenches, knowing exactly, like, you just see it. You don't have to check the size out, and you can just put it to work. Fabrication.
But the other thing too is it's thinking too. Like if you got a problem, it's not always, you know, that obvious. You know, you hear a knock or it's this, or, you know, something's going on. It's not always, you know, you got to use your brain a little bit to figure out what's going on. You know, it's one thing to just, you know, if you're going to change brakes or do whatever,
Yeah.
you know, you can kind of shut your brain off and do that. But, you know, some really wacky things, and it's very similar to what, you know, we deal with here.
Yeah. I mean, if something breaks and you don't know what it is, you got to troubleshoot it to find it, especially on the electrical side. So,
Yeah, that can be a little more difficult because it's hard getting to, right, all those connections and those wires. You know, a little easier on an elevator than on a car, but yeah, a lot of the same concepts, and that's why the guys, you know, when we do these recruitments, we see the guys come in and they got either pictures or they got experience. You know, we know it's game on. We know they know their way around a toolbox. They know they know what they're talking about. Yeah, and I can't think of anybody that came in here that had that kind of experience that, you know, didn't do well.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a good fit for them.
For sure.
Good fit for them. How about your boy? You mentioned him maybe coming here. Like, what's his hobbies right now?
He's basically like he plays guitar. He just picked that up.
That's beautiful.
And it at first we were like, you know, he wanted a guitar, and we were like, all right, no problem. So we got one, and he started playing, and he plays really well, and he takes lessons not too far from the school. It's called School of Rock.
Okay.
And he takes lessons there. And my daughter, she can play bass, she can play electric guitar, he can play bass and electric, and she's a really good drummer.
Wow.
Yeah, she wanted a set of drums, and we drove to Bayside, Queens, and picked up a set, and within 1 hour she was banging out Metallica on it, and she could play by ear.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, she's awesome. Both of the kids, they do real well musically, so that's good.
That's one thing I wish I did younger is take up guitar. I've tried to.
I can't bend my fingers. My son's like, Dad, and, you know, put your finger on the A and this. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't bend them.
I can't do it. And you know what? You know, my theory is I think it's all a scam. I think he's all in on it. It's all a bunch of nonsense. There's no such thing as playing the guitar. You're all faking it. It's impossible.
And then I tell him, I said, listen, JT, I said, one day when Dad is not preoccupied with the 4,000 things, I want to sit down and learn how to play it. But I said, I just can't do it right now.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it goes like this. And I'm like, all right.
Listen, it's like anything else. It's practice, but you know, we have less patience than those young guys. They got, you know, hours to kill, and you know, it becomes muscle memory. Then all of a sudden, you don't realize, and your fingers bending in that position.
Yeah.
I just can't get myself, and before I get to that point, I quit, and then it's 6 months later, and then I'm like, all right, let me sit down and play with this thing again. But that's awesome, man. It's
he's at the stage of like, you know, we talked about, you know, figuring out what you want to do, you know, later on in life after you get out of high school, and he's like, oh, you know, Dad, do you like your job? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you know, why do you like it? And it's, you know, every day there's always something going on in the city. You know, it's New York, and you know, you're taking an elevator and you're taking it apart and you're putting it all back together with new stuff. So you get to see the transition from old to new, and you know, it's the camaraderie of the guys, and it's the whole atmosphere of, you know, being in New York. And you know, we're steering him towards the welding school, so that way he can get, you know, maybe a welding cert underneath there, and you know, that's good for getting in.
So the high school is going to has welding school?
Yeah, so for 11th and 12th grade, he can go to Bosie's Tech.
Okay.
And they can go there for half the day, and they can do welding there.
That's
and they
awesome.
teach them.
That's great.
So my daughter's going to be a senior, so she's not going to be able to do that, but it's good though.
Oh, that is good.
At least they're interested in wanting to know like what what's going to be out there and, you know, what to do. But I mean, it would be great if he got the welding under and liked it, and then can get him in elevators and go right in construction.
Absolutely.
It would be good.
Listen, you come to those recruitments with a weld insert. You right out of the gate, you're separating yourself from in most of the people. That's something that not too many people bring to the table. A weld insert, you know, and then you know, if he's doubling down on that a little bit while in high school, maybe taking some electrical courses, right?
Yeah.
Get float right to the top of any recruitment list.
Yeah,
any,
I mean,
any trade that he's going to apply
he's
for.
pretty good with a lot of stuff. Like when I was building my cabin, I was wiring up all the outlets in the cabin, and I was putting pigtails on it. And I showed him, like, you know, the black goes to the gold, and the white goes to the silver, and the green goes to ground. And I took all the pieces and I threw them on the floor. I said, put this one together, and he put it together. And he was young at the time, and I can ask him today, and he'll still remember, which is good. I mean, you showed him once, so it's a good thing. You know, you got to show him.
It is. And when that kid out of high school knows what he wants to do and does it,
yeah,
that's such a head start, man.
I mean, hopefully he has it, because I didn't know what I was doing, you know. And like I said, liberal arts, you know,
13th grade.
13th grade.
Listen, I was a little different, man. I had a baseball scholarship, right? I was an English major, and that was it. 2 years later, you know, I threw my arm out, and then I was, all right, now what? You know, and I'm just like, you know, many others that fell into the trade, right?
Yeah.
I met my wife, and her father was a local one. That's how I got in, right? But that kid coming out of high school, man, holy smokes, man. You can sit down and do the real basic math with him and show him what he's going to retire with. That might be the very thing that says, you know what? I could do that.
Yeah.
You know, my father's
kind of showed him the scales on, you know, in the contract of like what it is. And I'm like, you know, by the time that you get out of high school, this number's going to jump to this number. And I said, this is what you're going to make on a 40. And he's like, oh, what do you mean 40? No, that's what you're going to get a week. Oh, really?
Yeah.
That a week? I'm like, well, listen, there's taxes. That's got to come out of that too.
What are taxes? I ain't paying taxes.
So, but yeah, at least he's interested and wanting to know what's what. So it's a plus.
You know what, too? If he wants to go to school, you know, maybe, you know, a lot of kids coming out might not be ready mentally, you know, with a job. You know, it's a big boy job. You know, I don't think I would have been ready, right? But then if he goes and he still thinks it's an option to go to school and take those classes that are going to benefit him, right? Engineering classes, mechanical, electrical, engineering, right? So sounds like he's got his head screwed on straight. But he's probably going to make some good choices.
Yeah.
Be a guitar playing. We'll start a rock band here at Local One when he gets.
Seriously, all we need is a singer.
That's all we need is a singer. That's where you got the drummer, we got the guitar player. Well, we got plenty of drummers over here in the room next to us.
Pipes and drums.
With the pipes and drums. But so what kind of work you doing now for you're with who? TEI. So what kind of job you on now?
So right now, we're doing a lot of night work. So I'm in a complex in the Bronx. And we're coming to like the last phase. So we're trying to finish the place up and get done by December.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
You've been there for a while, right? Doing the night work. You've been there for
I think we're going on 3 years now.
Yeah.
So it's work.
It is work.
And it's always interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
without a doubt, man.
Not to go into detail, but it's always interesting. But the work is the same. It's a little bit different. You know, you got rigid pipe, you have seal tight, so stuff doesn't get wet, and you know they have different, like guidelines in the end, because NYCHA wants to get the car 100% perfect,
right?
And how they want to take it over in the end,
right?
Because they're going to be, holding the bag in the end after we walk away.
Right.
So they want what they want.
Yeah, you could appreciate that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's still good though. I mean, they got a lot of money right now thrown out there for housing to be bid on. I mean, I think it's like 300,000, 300 million or something. I don't even know.
Some crazy number.
Yeah. It's past me. We just go to the jobs and get it done. That's it.
That's good, man. Work is work.
Yeah.
As long as we're working. All right, give me, we'll wrap this up, but you talked about your kid a little bit, but a little advice to a young guy coming out, maybe doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. If you got to grab some kid, right? We do it all the time. We go to these outreach events and you talk to these guys. What would be the one good thing? Listen, we can talk about money, we can talk about benefits and all that, but real benefit, one of those hidden benefits working in the trades that, most people might not realize. For some, it's, and especially for veterans, we had Chris Scortino on the other day and just talk about that camaraderie, right? That they have in the service, and this is like, the closest thing to that, right? So what's one of those like little things that if you were trying to sell trades to a young kid, you're not talking about money? I know I'm putting on the spot, but
let's see.
Right, for me, it's something different every day, right? I was a service guy, so it's, every shutdown's different, it's something different, keep you on your toes, it's never boring. This job is never boring, even though you're kind of been doing the same thing up at night. With mod is that's the word, mod. It's something different every time, and you're gonna come in and say, wow, this wasn't like that last time. We got to make some kind of.
I guess the only thing I could say is, it is something different every day. It's always going to keep your brain moving, thinking. At least you're not sitting still. You're always moving around.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing that you can do if you're a young guy is find the smartest guy in the company and pick his brain.
Yeah.
And find out, like, ask him questions. Ask him why did that happen? Those are the opportunities that I was afforded when I was working with an adjuster. So that adjuster, I was all over his shoulder like Spider-Man, wanting to know what's going on. And then I would ask him every single question, and he'd be like, "Oh, do me a favor, here, go get me coffee." And then I'd have to go out and get coffee, and I'd run right back because he was fixing what
he came back when the car's running.
Yeah, right.
What'd you do?
Like, oh, how'd that happen? What'd you do? And he'd be like, oh yeah, and then just kept on going. But you get those guys, and there's the guys with the gray hair and the whiskers,
Yep.
But ask questions and just stay off your phone when guys are trying to teach you something, and it'll better you because information is everything, and exposure is everything.
Yeah.
The more exposure you have in the industry, the better off you are, because nobody knows everything in the elevators. There's always going to be that one different machine that you never seen before, a different safety or anything. It's going to be, nobody knows everything.
This trade will humble you when you think you know it all.
You're damn right.
It's going to show you that you don't. And I've seen that so many times as going around answering calls and getting on a roll. And damn whammo.
Yeah.
You don't know nothing, kid.
Yeah. And then you get that one that will stump you, and it's sitting right in front of your face.
But you know what? I think that's what makes, this trade unique and great, is that it challenges you. It keeps you young, keeps you thinking.
Yeah.
Right. You don't, listen, there's jobs where, these big construction jobs like 270 and these big jobs where the guys are stacking rails for 6-9 months. I could see that maybe getting a little tiresome after a little while, but you know what? They move on to the next thing, and they move on, and it's, they're constantly, doing something different. The one thing I tell these young guys is that, you're going to make money. Yeah, you're going to have benefits, and but you're going to learn some skills that you can take home.
Absolutely.
Right. So you're going to wire up your own outlets. You're going to fix, something that broke. Your burner's not working. You're going to play with it. You're very rarely going to be calling somebody up, because you're going to have the skills to fix it, the know-how. And, a guy like a mod guy like yourself, that part of your job is to figure things out. Like, you don't, I got a square hole and a round peg. It doesn't fit. I got to make this thing fit. Right. And that's where the brain comes in. Right. And you take that home, and you're doing all those jobs at home, and you're saving money. You're helping your neighbor out.
Yeah.
To me, it's those skills that you bring home
I mean, even getting on the standby list as a helper, go out and see,
Yeah.
what they're doing.
Yep.
If you're a mod, you go on the standby list and, you can be the helper and see how to troubleshoot. And if,
Do you remember your first, you've been on night call, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember your first call?
Yep.
What was it?
My first call was in Rockefeller Center. It was a truck lift, and call came in as the truck was stuck below the street level. So I went to, might have been 50 Rock. I don't remember, 30 Rock. I don't remember what the address was. I get in the building. I'm like, I already failed before I got there. I'm like, I can't fix this. I don't know what it is. And I get there, and the guy's like, oh yeah, he's like, the truck couldn't get out in the street. And I'm like, what kind of truck was this? I have no idea. It's a big building. And when he brought me down, I seen the turret in the basement. I'm like, oh, this was a big 18-wheeler. And he says, oh yeah. I said, oh, maybe it was too heavy. I go down, and it had four pump units. And I was like, oh my God, Dovers. I'm like, holy crap, what am I gonna do with this thing? So I opened them up, and I'm like, let me try the overload. Went to the first one, nothing. Second one, nothing. Hit the third one, and then I heard it leveling. I was like, yeah, I fixed it.
It's great.
That was it. No. And that was it.
Oh, that's great. Mine was I remember mine. I thought I was getting set up. It was running on arrival. Little office building in Nassau County. Right in Nassau County at the time. It was Queens, Brooklyn night list. They asked me to buzz out to, just over the border. I'm like, yeah, I'll go out there. It's my first call. 5 o'clock, getting at 5 o'clock. And the car's running. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, they're watching me. Something like,
yeah,
really running on arrival. And that was my first one. And then thousands of calls later, because that's all I did as a mechanic. I was a mechanic.
Yeah, I mean, you have some good ones, you have some bad ones, and some will keep you up all night because you didn't fix it. And you're like, man, what the hell is that? And then you'll be driving to work the next day, and you're like, oh, you know what? That's what that is.
Yeah.
And then either you go back and fix it, or somebody else will call you and be like, oh, you left that thing shut down. Do you know what it was? Then you're going to tell them, like, well, why didn't you fix it? It's because I was thinking while I was sleeping.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how it works, though.
Yeah.
That's the brain not stopping, and that's the job. Like you're always thinking of like
that's right,
how things work.
That's right.
And like half of the time, I think we all fix things in our mind when we go home.
Absolutely.
Like, oh, dude, I forgot that. Yep. Oh yeah. So,
especially those jobs too that you might be spending a couple of days on. As a route mechanic, you got a cranky car, shuts down every whatever. You're laying there staring at the ceiling at night, then boom, the light bulb goes off.
I had one yesterday. It was crazy. The PLC had all the car calls in, and the car was going to every single floor, up and down, up and down. And then I'm like, man, going yesterday, I'm like, maybe like one of the LEDs, the diode shorted, and it's going to ground on it, and it's making the PLC have a fit. So I went down, pulled out all the light bulbs, took out each one, still doing it. One of the nuts from the button was actually wedged between the hot and the ground, and it made everything run through, and it was the top floor. So it raced through all the jumpers through the car station from 18 down to the lobby, and that was putting the calls in on the PLC. Wow. Yep, one little 5/16 nut, and that was it. Pulled it out,
boom,
gone. Yep.
And the feeling, though, when you pull that out and it's fixed,
you look and you're like, what the heck? How'd that get there?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the environment. They beat the hell out of the car panels, and, but yeah. Yep.
Crazy stuff, man.
Just like that.
Yep. Well, listen, thanks for coming down.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate what you're doing for NEIEP. You're doing a great job out there. You get a lot of guys enjoy being in your class. It's a real important thing that we do, teaching these young guys, get from A to B, they're coming in, go through class, get them to take that test. And
my biggest fear is them failing, which then you don't want them to fail, but I think the pass rate on them is pretty good.
The pass rate's great with those guys, especially the guys in your class. I know you're doing review for the mechanics exam. We're starting up, starting up another class. And I'm going to tell you something. These guys remember school for a long time, and they remember the teachers that, helped them along the way, and, you build relationships along the way. And,
I think the most part of like in the teaching process is to not be so, like rigid with it. Make this like a little bit more casual. You
Yeah.
know, it's after work anyhow. So, you know, being that it's casual, you can joke around and, you know, have a little fun with
You
it.
have to.
Because if you're straight lined with it, it's gonna be tough.
It is.
It's gonna be tough, and they're gonna gonna block it out, and you gotta have.
It's a
gotta have
long
good
day for everybody.
Yeah,
You know, you got to bring
sure.
a little levity to the classroom, get through it.
yeah,
Listen, they know that they have to be there, but we also understand it's a long day. You
Yeah.
know, especially if it was freezing out, their body's working hard to
or
keep
it's
warm. Now they're sitting
105
in a-
degrees.
Now they're sitting in a warm classroom, you know, fighting to go to sleep. Listen, we understand all that, but we do the best we can. And I've said 1,000 times at union meetings, our instructors, they're the backbone of our education. You guys, they spend millions of dollars developing curriculum, right? Labs and all this stuff. And it's you guys that put it to use. And you guys do a great job. We appreciate it.
It's a good time.
It is. All right, pal.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man. Work safe out there, brother.
Yeah, me
All right.
too.
Thank you.
Who's going for coffee?